everyone. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamline Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. Home of two of the most drunken tweeters that you'll ever follow on Twitter.
I wasn't that drunk. I didn't drink.
You were?
I was
drinking.
No, I know you were. Because I just drank as much as I normally do.
It
was Saturday, and I was at home on the computer. It's like, that's pretty fucking sad, so that's why.
Dude, I was there too. For those who don't follow us on Twitter, we do have a new... We have a new CCW TV Twitter account. So you want to go to twitter.com, follow us at CCW_TV, and you'll see the tweets of Mr. Melendez right here. You can follow my tweets at Geek2Me, no underscores, just Geek2Me. Follow us both, and every Saturday night or so we'll have our drunk tweet battles. We had our inaugural tweet battle this past weekend, and it was, talk about one of the most pitiful displays of trying, two drunk guys trying to insult each other and not really doing a good job of it.
Well, I was doing half-hearted because I'm trying to watch fucking TV. And I was trying to get shit done because I was working on an article for the blog. I'm trying to get shit done, and then it's just like...
And Demar...
If it was anything, it was just more irritating.
And Demar, who is also on Twitter, follow him at Demar, Deemar CCW, was egging us both on. He was like trying to get us both to, go back and forth with each other. So I blame him. And Demar is proving to be the Don King of CCW because he was building this whole thing up, and it was pretty bad. I mean, it was just really bad and anticlimactic. And I was looking at it the following night, and I was like...
well, it's like kind of everything that we do.
True.
I don't know what you were expecting.
But those tweets are going into the Library of Congress, which is pretty...
Yeah, after you actually reminded me of that, I wanted to shoot myself.
So, yeah, follow us on Twitter. Sometimes we'll be funny, but
we're not supposed to self-promote, Elliot, on these videos. People don't like it when we self-promote.
Stop self-promoting, yeah. Well, anyway, we'll just promote other folks, okay? So let's jump into some quick reviews right now. This is going to be a pretty brief number of segments this week.
Brief, probably only meaning 2.
We do have some things to look at because this was a really light week.
Yeah, it was, actually.
The first thing we'll look at is the new Wolverine book by Jason Aaron and former... was he the artist on Action Comics?
Superman.
Superman?
Yeah, he was actually on Superman.
Rafael Guedes? I always say it's Renato Guedes. Guedes? I always get it wrong.
If any of you ever want to come down to the tapings and have cue cards ready for fucking Elliot whenever we review something, that would probably be really helpful.
It would be helpful. I was looking at this artwork. I'm going, I've seen this guy somewhere before, and I think he's also done some stuff for Avatar, but I could be wrong. Anyway.
No, you were thinking Avatar because of the Mystique on a motorcycle, because that looks like a lot like that Black Summer book.
The Black Summer book, that's true.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw Black Summer.
We have yet another... I mean, I guess it's not another Wolverine book, but this is...
Well, it is another Wolverine book because it's new #1, but they canceled the Wolverine Origins and Weapon X.
Weapon X.
So
Jason Aaron was doing Weapon X before.
Yeah, and that only lasted for, a whole, 15, 16 issues? Talk about a pitiful display of a run.
It was supposed to be... I mean, I was reading Wolverine Weapon X. I talked about how much I liked it, that you could get me... It was the only way you could get me to read a Wolverine book was because Jason Aaron was writing it. And at that time, Ron Garney was drawing it. Mm-hmm. Then even he dropped off the book, I think, after the first story arc, like after 6 issues.
Yeah, Yannick Paquette came on.
Then he came on.
For a while, yeah.
And then Wolverine ended up in an insane asylum and all this.
Yeah, that was Paquette did that.
Yeah, and then it lost me. And then I just dropped it. So you would think, you're going to reboot again Wolverine, keep Jason Aaron on board, and bring in a new, pretty hot young artist. and see where you go from there. And I've got to say that I was surprised. I had a hard time reading this book. I mean, at least getting through the opening part of the book, because it seems like Jason Aaron is revisiting a lot of his Ghost Rider themes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back into the, the Southern Goth stuff, the Baptist minister who has a background of being something else, and, sinister supernatural forces at work, and blase, blase, blase. Man, it was a hard time. I had a hard time getting through, like, the first part. And then, as you mentioned, Mystique shows up on a motorcycle, and then things pick up from there, but then, at that point, then the story's over.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, and then it ends with Wolverine in hell, so.
Well, it's called Wolverine Goes to Hell.
I know, but still, you're like.
I don't know, man. Like, we're reviewing this for a few reasons. One, because people want us to review a Jason Aaron book, and it's kind of hard to review Scalp, because I don't think he reads it, but I read Scalp in the trades. And it's kind of hard to review that book because it's an ongoing story. You can't really just review, like, one issue or, have a trade or something. So, that's why. The other reason is that it's another new fucking number one. It's another Wolverine number one. Like, Wolverine never lasts for more than, like 50 issues.
These days, yeah.
These days. I mean, there's been, like 5, 6 different Wolverine.
Right.
Not counting Wolverine Origins and Weapon X. And you know this fucking numbering is going to go back up to, like, 200 in, like, 3 issues or something like that. Because they're going to add, what Marvel loves to do is, like, that they add, like, all the ancillary bullshit titles that Wolverine was a part of and call it part of the Wolverine series. So you're going to take all the Wolverine series, add all those up, then you're going to throw Wolverine Origins in there for the hell of it, then you're going to throw Wolverine Weapon X in there. And I wouldn't be surprised if they threw, like, all the, like, Wolverine, like, one-shots that come out every month in there, too.
And the Marvel Presents that he was in.
The Marvel Presents.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, like, that's a good, yeah. That was because he was the main character in that.
Yeah. And then,
so it's like, it's such pointless. It's like another number one. It's like, that's all they've been doing all year, and we've talked about this ad nauseum about just trying to boost numbers and stuff like that. But I mean, that Jason Aaron Weapon X book wasn't even going for like a year and a half.
Right. And then you have that astonishing book with Wolverine and Spider-Man that Jason Aaron has written. Him and Andy
he's
Kubert.
doing that too. Yeah.
And it's 2 issues have come out, and that's it.
That's because Kubert's drawing it.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, it's enough already with this stuff.
I don't know. It's like, why can't they just, because they did say it's like Wolverine is only be in one book. This is the book that he's gonna be in. But then you have like Daken in his own book. Then you have like X-23 in her own book. We've already talked about this too. It's like, it's not really just Wolverine being in one book. He's still in the fucking Avengers.
Yeah.
Both of them.
And
he's
he's
going to be in Uncanny X-Force, I think, when they relaunch that.
Right.
So it's not the only Wolverine book.
Right.
It's the only book with his name on the fucking cover.
Right.
I don't know. It's just, I'm so sick of it. And it wasn't even like that good of a story. You guys know I like Jason Aaron. I love this Ghost Rider stuff. Everything that, I loved Scalp, but it just seems so pointless and needless. And for a number one issue, it did nothing new.
No.
Nothing new.
No.
Some of the same tropes that you said that Jason Aaron likes to go into over and over again. It was just boring.
And if for as long as the Wolverine character has been around, there's been startling little progression in his character. I mean, he's still struggling. It's like it's a constant struggle between the killer or the animal in him and him trying to seek a higher purpose or being a better person. The guy's been around for a fucking long time, and a lot of writers have dealt with these exact same themes. I would like for someone to just get beyond it and just find a new take on the character.
I still think that the best Wolverine story that was done was by Jason Aaron. Remember those 2 fill-in issues of Wolverine that he did before it became Dark Wolverine?
Yeah.
That was probably the best Wolverine, where it showed Wolverine dealing with being who he was.
It was,
day
but
in
it was
and day out.
the Wolverine Spider-Man bit.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah.
No, you're right. It was Wolverine kind of like
that's kind of what I was hoping that Aaron would get into more. But this is, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it is. And if you were gonna tell me, give me 2 books, one a Jason Aaron book and then another book by Brian Michael Bendis, and you told me which one do you think you would like even more, or more than the other one, I would 9 times out of 10, or maybe like 10 times out of 10, I would be like, Jason Aaron. But now we have
Scarlet number 2.
We told you we were going to do a follow-up review for it because the first one just could have been a fluke. A complete another fluke that we liked it.
I gotta say, 2 for 2 so far. Bendis and Malieve 2 for 2. This was a page turner. This was a real page turner. For those of you out there who think we're Brian Bendis haters, and just because Bendis has his name on it and he wants to use all these clever little decompression storytelling tricks and blase blase, you think that we hate him because of that? Well, you know what? All the things that Bendis has used in other books that, in our opinion, have failed, he does in this book and succeeds. Mm-hmm. If anything, though, I am convinced these are kind of like older scripts that predate some of the stuff he's doing now. And I'm waiting for the production on this book to kind of catch up. Because I'm telling you right now, if these are fresh scripts that Bendis is doing now, then I know he is pandering in the Avengers books. Mm-hmm. Because if this is him writing what he can do, the purest of his own vision, this is really what he should be doing in all his books. We get more into the Scarlet character. We see, after what happened in issue number 1, where Scarlet's boyfriend Gabriel is shot by a dirty cop, and she's shot as well. Yeah. She recovers from that, and Bendis uses, which is kind of strange, he uses an economy of dialogue. The story really moves along. I mean, there's very little dialogue. What you would, for a Bendis book, you would think in here. And Alex Malieve has to do a lot of the heavy lifting, or just move things along. Artists always do the heavy lifting until you get to the part where Scarlet confronts the partner of the dirty cop, and then you have that the page with a whole bunch of word balloons going up and down the side. And I'll be honest, when I saw that, I was like, oh, God, please, don't let this be the Bendis I don't like. No, it worked. It just kept going. Yep. The momentum of the story kept moving forward. And if anything, the way that page and those panels were designed was perfect for it. So, I've got to say, at this point, Bendis really has me hooked on this title. I'm just going to keep buying it. I'm not buying any of the Avengers stuff. Yeah. That's pure and simple. I'm not. Scarlet, this book here, is superior to all the other Marvel stuff he's doing right now, in my opinion.
Oh, I completely agree. So, we bitched about other review sites. I'm not going to go into any names. Let's just call it crappy book reviews. And it just seems that whenever we seem to like something, they don't like it. And whenever they seem to like something, we don't like it, because it's just how it is. So the best Brian Michael Bendis book to come out in years, and we said this in the last review, in years, they were complaining that there was too much dialogue. And I don't get, because there was more dialogue in every fucking one of those Avengers issues. Every one of them, especially Avengers. Right. There's more dialogue in there than this. And they were complaining that that it was moving too slow. Right. And that 20% of the dialogue could have been taken out of the book to streamline it. What the fuck book are they reading? I don't get that. If anything, I wish there was more dialogue in here, because there is this momentum that it picks up, and it just does not stop. Right. I mean, there's a rhythm to the dialogue, and it just hits the beats all the way through. And it's just like, you just don't want to stop reading this. Right. And I would never have fathomed that I would ever say that again about a Brian Michael Bendis book. Ever. But this book is just so, I cannot get enough. I thought the first one was going to be a fluke. I completely thought it was. I like this issue better than the last issue, because it gets more into the actual character of Scarlet. Right. And for me to actually like a character within 1 or 2 issues, I mean, I already like this character. Mm-hmm. She's already a sympathetic character to me, and I want to see her take down some bad guys. Mm-hmm. And she does stuff that, if people take an issue with her methods, I mean, she doesn't do anything that, let's say, friggin' Frank Castle or Wolverine or any of the other male characters that get glorified for doing the kind of stuff that she does in this comic. She's no different. And yet, you sympathize with her more than you would with Frank Castle or Wolverine. For her, it's not
a power trip. And at the end of this issue, it's no. She even. I love the way the character Scarlet addresses it. It's no longer about revenge. And there's. I don't want to spoil this book, but when you get to the very end, the final line of this chapter is just perfect. Just perfect. It's no longer about revenge. It's about something else. And I find it. I find it baffling that some of the critics who just laud all of other Bendis' stuff are having an issue with this book.
And the only thing I can think of is that it's a female-centric character, and it's a female-centric story, and they just can't sympathize or what's the word I'm looking for? Empathize with the character, which I don't understand, because it's... And I love the fact that... And maybe they have problems with, well, she is using tactics to lure in a man that only a woman could probably do, but that's the whole point.
The whole point,
because this cop is pretty much of a scumbag. She's using what she knows about him, but she's been following him for weeks on end to lure him in. And probably one of my favorite parts, and without even dialogue, is that with all this going on, with her trying to lure the cop in and trying to seduce him, Bendis throws in this panel right here with no dialogue and lets you know what is really in her mind while she's saying these things. This is the most important panel, I think, in this entire comic. This is what she's doing it for. And just in one small panel that Malieve and Bendis can get that through to the reader, this is why she's doing it. This is why she's doing everything that she's doing. This is always on her mind as she's saying and doing these things. I don't know.
It's incredibly well executed storytelling. It's where in this book, I know we have criticized Bendis before for spinning wheels, for decompression. This is a book that I'm not going to say it's not too dense, but it's not too light. Everything that happens here, there are times when things do move along a little quicker, but there are no wasted panels. I don't feel like anything's put in just to take up space. Every part, every word, every panel has a purpose.
Doesn't feel like he's writing for the trade.
No, exactly. This does not feel like trade writing. Right. You're absolutely right about that.
And I wonder why that is. No, I'm serious. I wonder why that is. I mean, is the mandate like writers at Marvel? Most of them have to write for the trade, so that's 6 issues. The
Marvel stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but this is his icon stuff, so he can do whatever.
Again,
he's writing this for himself. Is what he's doing. And I gotta say, I'm really, really enjoying it. And I've been having a back and forth on an earlier vid with a viewer where we had made comments back. I mean, I want to say the video was called "Does Brian Bendis Hate Women?" And when we came out,
it was like the second season.
Yeah, so back in the second season, and we threw out the word misogyny when it came to Bendis. I want to make a clarification here. It wasn't that Brian Bendis himself is a misogynist, that his work was coming across as misogynistic. And just so you know,
there are certain misogynistic tones that keep repeating over themselves. And over again in his superhero.
And there are several, and if you think it is uncommon for successful writers to have that thrown at them, it's very common in the movie industry too, screenwriters. I know Joe Esteras, Shane Black, and some other very popular screenwriters have had that same that same term thrown at them in their work. And if you see the work, you can see where it comes from. So I have to make that clarification. And, of course, that's open for debate. If you go back to those videos and you see all the comments that people have made about it, there's an argument back and forth as to whether Bendis's, or the running themes in Bendis's work at the time was misogynistic or not. This book here has violence towards women, a woman being victimized. I would not call this misogynistic. Why? Because there is a balance to it. There is balance here in this work that has not been present in previous work that Bendis has done with
and I think characters. One of the major things is, like we had mentioned in the first one, is that she refuses to play the victim.
Yes.
Like in every other Bendis book, I mean, that's Miss Marvel. You know, she was victimized and she was playing the victim by letting herself get hurt by the words that Dr. Doom was saying, by her not standing up and doing anything about it,
and
by just taking it
and Tigra getting assaulted in her household. And I know, we know that the whole issue about Tigra and the Hood was resolved later on, but it wasn't resolved in a Bendis book, and it wasn't resolved even in New Avengers, where the whole thing friggin' took place in the first place. Yeah. But, again, the issue of, is Brian Bendis misogynistic? Well, not in this book. Tone is not misogynistic at all.
And it's probably one of the reasons why we like it, because it's nothing like anything else that Bendis has been doing.
Nothing like it. All right, so we'll end this pair of reviews on that. When we come back, we're actually going to jump into Last Rants. And after last week's Last Rants, or earlier this week's Last Rants, you're going to enjoy this one. We'll see you soon.